All right. Greetings and salutations, test takers. This is Dean Tenney, aka the Series 7 Guru, joined by our always very special guest, Brian Lee, managing member of Test Geek Exam Prep LLC. We're here Tuesday, 5 p.m. live from Las Vegas. Sometimes Brian's at his Las Vegas locale. Other times he's in the Northwest. He's quite the jet setter. But the main purpose of these weekly meetings is to provide you with any content help we can on any of your FINRA or NASA exams. So tell us what series exam you're taking, where you're joining us from. If you do have a question, the format that helps us pull it out of the chat. We also have fun and fellowship as well. And it's easier for us to distinguish in the chat who's, talking amongst themselves about things. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to take Brian and myself our word about what's testable, but we get victorious test takers. There's other things going on. But if you put like a Q or SIE, then we don't spend time trying to figure out what exam you're taking. Uh-oh, I just froze. Am I back? I froze. You froze or I froze? Somebody froze. Anyway, so just if you can do that, fine. Let's take care of some housekeeping before we get in to the exam itself. I'm working on an SIE podcast series, and that podcast series is on new episode tonight is on prohibited practices. It follows right after our live stream. So there's usually a chat. And if you want to join us at 6 p.m., I will be in the chat, monitoring chat as that premieres. We also have, in terms of content coming up next week, Brian and I working on a collaboration. The third of our collaborations, the other ones I found very successful. Brian has contributed immensely, and people, more importantly, have used them for test-taking victories. We did a 65 podcast series. Brian was kind enough to teach an evening class on definitions of registration persons. It's been very popular and very helpful for folks, and this will be our third collaboration on the 66. We already have podcast episode 1 up on intro and business information. You can find that in the podcast list on the channel. These are also available on Spotify as well as a podcast there. All right. And we talked about the question format. The best free supplement to your paid study materials is my YouTube channel. But if you're looking for a paid supplement to your study materials, I highly recommend Kaplan QBank. You can get a 15% discount code at checkout as Guru15. And with the Series 7, for example, that's only $58 for the QBank. And then I would add to that, Brian's been kind enough to give our viewers a 20% discount on his content, all in. That's videos, it's a PDF, it's a supplement, but it's the most thorough supplement, I think, in terms of paid supplements. All in on that, it's $100. I think you better get it now, because I think Brian may be raising prices after the new year. So move now. I think all in with the 20% discount, you can get his videos, the PDF, everything for, I think, about $100. And if you want to break it down in PDFs and practice exams, you can buy a la carte. I would recommend you go all in. As I said, the live stream's here. Now, on my channel, there's a lot of stuff on the channel. And I have to start by saying happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I mean, what a role. And I have an attitude of gratitude. This is just amazing to me. We are coming up on 3 million views, 25,000 subscribers, and 700,000 watch hours. That's just crazy. Now, I don't have the expectation that you're going to watch the 800 hours of videos. So what I would suggest you do is, if you want to binge and you're taking a particular exam, find your series playlist. And if it's the SIE, for example, there's 3 playlists. On the 7, there's like 7 playlists. I have those playlists in suggested watch order, and then the videos are in suggested watch order. So it's okay, but people go, which video should I watch? It's a buffet. Take what you like, leave what you don't, but I have put them in the suggested order. For example, you'll find Brian's evening course in the playlist at the front, because I want to make sure you get to that. And if you're looking for a particular topic, go to the channel search bar and put in accrued interest or credit spread or tax-free equivalent. And then when you hit the enter, that particular will come up, either a practice problem or an entire lecture, whatever the case may be. So if you're looking for particular topics, use the channel search bar. If you want to binge, use the playlist. We conclude every one of our live streams with a drawing for a 30-minute coaching call. I sometimes post those, sometimes I don't. you're giving me permission to replay them if you win, and we do it. The last one I think was with Cynthia. I think we spent an hour. I don't think I posted a replay just because it was an hour, and I forget if I did or I didn't. But sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. All right, let's see what we got going on in chat. Nico, Series 7 tomorrow morning, so make sure you get some sleep. That's going to be important. Yeah. You want to make sure your reading skills are in top form. And so make sure that, you're getting that sleep. So we'll be sending you good test vibes. Nico's from Chicago. Chicago is a great town, Nico. There's lots of securities industry professionals in Chicago. I miss going to Chicago. I used to go to Chicago quite regularly, and I have it down, Nico. I can land at Midway, hop the train, and be downtown on the loop pretty quickly. So I kind of miss all my, cities where I had the infrastructure, public transportation wired, But give us a circle back. Let us know how you do next Tuesday. Rachel, 66 is next Friday. I've taken 3 practice tests so far, 65, 71, 73. I like those. Brian's right? You're on that upwards trend. Every day is not a good day. I would like you to be in the mid 70s, I think, Rachel, for a margin of safety. So it looks like you're on the way there next Friday. So not this Friday, but next Friday. Am I, Rachel, getting that correct? If you could let me know in the chat. Is it next, not this Friday, but next Friday? Because if so, that's plenty of time. I mean, I'm not worried at all. And even if it was Friday, this is Tuesday, I still think you're in a good spot. So what do you think, Brian? I think those are scores that are every expert.
And again, I like the trend.
Yeah.
I hope she'll eventually see my Series 66 final is my best one.
Yeah. Brian's all finals are really good. So I take a little heat from this. And so here I go again, stirring it up. I don't want people to misinterpret what I say. And I have said that Brian's practice tests have a very strong correlation to the actual exam. I think actually the best correlation, Rachel. So I had somebody who got a 65, taking the 65 on Brian's practice test. It was a Friday. He's testing Monday. As well, had that been the real test, he would have missed the mark. But good news, it's not. I know you're going to work over the weekend. We're going to find some points. So, people have passed. Now, the person I said about achievable not having reliable correlation said that information was anecdotal, and it's not. I was around when they first started Achievable. I actually looked over the content. They also said I don't own it, and I do. I own every version from every test vendor on every series. It's a responsibility I have to know what's out there. And when I tutor, people are using different stuff. And I did a beta. It's a small sample size, but that was the reason the beta in my version didn't work, because we couldn't reliably tell somebody what that score translates. Brian said that's why his correlation, because he had somebody who needed to know, Brian, is this person going to pass or not? So anyways, that practice exam from Brian on a 66, all of them are pretty good. Now, you can get that for $20, Rachel, from Brian directly. And I don't know why people misinterpret this, but all you get is the PDF of the practice final with the rationale, which I think is definitely worth the $20. But you can also on the channel watch me do it, hit pause and then play and see how you did. And then again, Rachel, I tell everybody, Brian's been kind enough to give us his content for use on the channel, but it's not my job to defend Brian's content. If you have a question you take exception with, he's more than happy to talk to you about it. Just send him an email. I'm sure he has no problem. I kind of think, Rachel, sometimes people get mad because Brian has, I won't call them gotcha questions, but he's got questions that are difficult. They're challenging. So don't blame Brian. Look again and see if you can get it. So anyways, we all think, Rachel, you're where you need to be. So right on track. Just keep doing what you're doing, rinse and repeat. Stay dedicated, stay disciplined, stay organized. And I'm sure you're going to get that beat. Happy Thanksgiving, Tony. All right, on. You look like you are have a reason to give thanks. I love that. Thanks for joining us from Facebook. We broadcast, our preferred platform is YouTube, but we broadcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So thanks for joining us from Facebook. Hi, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Starting to with Brian on Monday. Woohoo. Tony, you're getting a good deal. I think that price is probably going up too. Boy, if you're thinking about spending some money with Brian, do it before December 31st. Needed 92. Oh, How many times have we heard that, Brian?
Once or twice, huh?
I mean, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. You want to talk a couple of questions on Reg SP, Brian? I saw you
No,
put it on your
that's
board.
yours.
Let me give it to your board. There you
No,
go.
I said that's yours. That's yours.
Okay. Well, Reg SP, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The only thing I always said about Reg SP was it was pretty common on Series 6, not very common on 7 or 65 or any of the others. All right. Do you know of much feedback from Reg SP?
I think I get feedback that it does show up every once in a while, and I think primarily what they're asking about is what do we do to protect customer information,
Right.
and then what is our responsibility in terms of cross soliciting. So,
do you think it's always going to be an opt-out situation?
I think so, and that it has to be easy to opt out, and then this idea about we have a responsibility to protect your personal information is usually what that's about. So that's what I would say. Any highlights? I don't know. Highlights of Reg SP? Is that what you're asking? Is there any highlights of Reg SP? Well, I think just basically what we just told you there, right? It requires broker dealers, investment companies, and investment advisors to have, and this is testable, what we call WSPs, written supervisory procedures. And what we have to have in our WSPs is how are we safeguarding the protection of customer records and information. So that's the short version of it. I think that should get you everything you need. What do you think, Brian?
Disclosing customer information to affiliates, right? Banks, brokerage firms are always affiliated with other insurance companies and banks.
Well, I just reading what an end of an era. The Bank of America is no longer training baby brokers to make cold calls. And they said that part of the reason is all of the cross solicitation referral opportunities. I think it was some crazy number, like 60 million Bank of America customers.
Wow.
And so, if I'm a Bank of America customer, Brian's point, you just can't call me as a Merrill Lynch broker and say, hey, you got a checking account at Bank of America, and where, you need permission to do that.
That's right.
Then the other thing I would add is make sure that you understand that safeguarding your information does not mean from the U.S. government. So, if we have a legal document from a government agency, whether we're going to roll on you, we're going to give them whatever they want. We don't give it to third parties. Passed the Series 7 last Friday. Looking forward to my journey as a stockbroker after 63. I love it. I don't know, Brian. I kind of feel like this year, particularly, this last couple months, I regret I'm not a young man or woman anymore, because I am meeting so many young men and women who are starting out in our industry that I'm so excited about. They just have such great opportunities, and I was lucky to have opportunities as well. Man, they're going to work at great firms with great opportunities. And I just think, man, that's so awesome.
I haven't heard the term stockbroker in probably 20 years.
Yeah, that turns us on because, I think of myself as a stockbroker.
That's what we were called.
Yeah, I didn't know. We call it financial consultant, financial advisor, whatever the case may be. So, Kevin, if you want to be an old-fashioned stock jock,
dialing for dollars.
I'm for you. Yeah, smiling and dialing.
Yeah.
Next Friday. I like it, 12/1. So that means we got plenty of time, Rachel. So I joke, that timeline in your study plan is like an option contract. It starts to erode the time value. So if you get closer, you got to be careful that when that timeline is collapsing, you're where you need to be. So about 3-4 days out, make sure you do that last, maybe 2-3 days out, do that last practice final up. Maybe Brian. What do you think, Brian?
I like her scores and I like her time. It sounds.
I don't think it's on track.
Everything.
Rachel, I don't see any red flags. I don't see any red flags. So. Yeah. If we did, we would tell you. Louisiana 66 next Monday. Ooh, I wonder for our Marcel, are you out there? We have another Louisiana guy who's a pretty regular on our live streams. Watching tips, tricks, and memory aids. I like it. And going over Brian's exam early tomorrow morning. Love it. That is one of my most popular videos, Nico. That and Series 7 in 60 minutes is another very popular video. And I suggest those. Those are ones I made specifically for the night before your exam or, a morning of, just to kind of get you in the right circadian rhythm, because it's not a natural rhythm to be taking a NASA or FINRA exam. So, I don't think you're going to learn the night before anything. So those days are over. You're not going to cram and pass. But if you can do that, the other thing I suggest, Nico, with Brian's exam is if you have the dead tree physical version, what I suggest is you take your El Marco and they'll marco out the wrong answers. So if Brian has a question that says all the following is true except, get rid of the except, get rid of the wrong answer, and now relabel A, B, and D as 1, 2, 3. And I call that a poor man's flashcard. And what I would do is read Brian's question and his right answers and his rationales. And I would do that the night before and the morning of. Again, we're not saying you're going to pass doing that, but I do think it gets you in the flow. It helps you kind of say, okay, your brain turns on and says, okay, it's time, whether it's 66 or 7. And so when people have that, that's what I tell them to do with Brian's final. After they get the score, because that score is a good mark. And so you want to save that. Just had somebody today, Brian, and he has bought your course. And I was tutoring him, and I said, well, put Brian's PDF away and save that practice exam for 2-3 days out so we have a mark. I mean, you can look at his other stuff. It's good stuff. But let's save that practice exam so we get a good mark. Good evening. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, Isaac. I can't tell you this. I feel so blessed this year. I mean, I just really, it's been a really great year for me on a lot of fronts. And to be honest, the YouTube channel is part of that. I'm building an off-grid cabin. That's kind of exciting. I got a new adventure going on. So been a good year. So if anybody's thankful, I'll probably make a little Thanksgiving little video to say.
You learned how to play roulette from your buddy Brian.
That's true, Brian. It's a coincidence, but Brian's place is pretty damn close to his Vegas place, and when he's available and he's not with his significant other, he's been kind enough to take me out on Friday night, and we have some nice scotch or tequila, and then we go play roulette. And I don't think I'm making any newbie mistakes anymore, am I?
No.
Yeah.
Last time
I used that today when I was tutoring somebody on options. I didn't bring up your name because I don't think it's anybody else's business about our gambling. But I did tell her, I said, it's like learning anything. I said, first time I showed up and my friend's telling me him and the dealer, I said, no, they're slapping my hand. You can't do that. This is what you can do. And I said, I felt pretty good because now I carry myself as a player. I walk in.
There you go.
I kind of know what the drill is about, right? So hopefully you'll get more comfortable. I joke, learning this stuff is kind of like learning a foreign language. They say when you dream it, that's when you know it. So if you can, lights go on, they go out. And I was tutoring today. I said, at some point you're going to sound like you know what you're talking about and you're a player, and that would be a good place to be.
Will your next lesson be craps?
There you go. Maybe, right? Is that with the dice? I think so. Because I like all those movies where they're throwing dice.
It's fun.
The other thing I use it to teach Brian is the OCC is the issuer and guarantor. I say, listen, if you are going to make a bet, I say you don't want to do it with the bookie in your bar. Yeah, I said my friends give me grief about their bookie and their bartender, and that do I not think he's reliable? I just said, well, as a contraparty, maybe not, because if you make a parlay card with 9 bets and you win, does he really have $1 million? Here in Vegas, we have a gaming commission. You know that if you make a bet here and you go to the cage, you're going to get big. I like it, Rachel. We think there's nothing but clear sky so far in terms of where you're at and where you're going. So that's part of it. Making sure too, confidence is important. So just make sure. One of the things I love about our Tuesday nights is just coming in, popping in, seeing other test takers. Rachel, checking, getting a mark from Brian and I on terms of where we think your study effort is. We're pretty honest. So, if we think there's red flags, we will be certainly tell you. So, yeah, like I say, I hope everybody else is as blessed as I am this year. So, blessings to everybody. Hopefully you can have some good fun and fellowship this weekend. I told Brian I'm going dark immediately after this and that premiere. I won't be back on the grid until Tuesday. Well, thank you. BC Davis. I think of BC. I think of Baron Davis, who was one of our Golden State Warriors for a long time. They helped me pass the series last year. Now you're working on 24. Boy, you must. I wonder, Brian, if she is a Northwestern person.
I don't
because
know.
Those Northwestern people, I forget, they hire some people in compliance to go SIE 7, 66, 24 with like in 6-month time frame. I'm like, whoa. Time frames regarding SP, huh? Well, I don't think there's any special record retention for Reg SP that would not apply differently than the regular record retention. Customer records are like customer account statements are 6 years, and when you close the account, it's 6. I would think it's that. Vast majority are 3.
Tony, I'll have an answer for you in the morning.
There you go.
I think one of them is 1 year, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think the annual notice about
That's
FP.
the one.
So if we are, we have to annually tell customers what we are doing to fulfill this responsibility. That's called an annual notice. So maybe that's what you got tested on. Starting Kaplan for Series 66 after using Pass Perfect, not twice, passing twice. What do you suggest for the crash course for additional supplement? Well, I think you can see them there on the other window frame. I highly recommend Yvette. Both my channel has 3 playlists for 66. I have lectures that Brian is included in one of those lectures. I have practice tests, and Brian has included that. There's a Kaplan one. There's different vendors. And then this third playlist is what we're working on right now, Yvette, which is Brian and I are doing a podcast series. We got 1 episode done. It's intro and business information. So check that out. So that's what I would suggest. And then if you have the resources, I know not everybody is blessed. It does, when you're starting out, I get it if you don't have the resources. But if you do, if you don't have to be frugal, I would buy Brian's supplement. It's a whole video series with a PDF, and I would think with the 20% discount, it comes in at about $100. Yeah. Am I right, Brian, on the price?
Yeah, it's a little under. Yeah, it's like 90.
Okay, so that's what I would recommend. You get to watch Brian walk you through the whole thing, cover to cover, as well.
How do we get you out of Pass Perfect?
Yeah, Pass Perfect.
We get you out of that and into Kaplan.
Yeah, Pass Perfect. So listen, Pass Perfect is a fine vendor. If it doesn't work for everybody, and here I don't know if this was your challenge, but man, Pass Perfect is so obtuse, and they take you down some rabbit holes. And I think it is possible that you could go down one of those rabbit holes to the detriment of not staying on the broad avenues and highways of 66. And boy, I got to tell you, Brian is disciplined on not getting off the broad avenues and highways of 66. He keeps it right in the middle. And, every once in a while I try and take him off the, down some side road. And he's like, nope, we're working on our separate episode. I had all kinds of banners that, Brian wanted to delete. And, so we did.
If it ain't on a test, I don't care about it.
And then thanks for joining us from Facebook. I really appreciate it. On the 24, I do have a video on Trace. Trace is definitely on your 24. The trade reporting and compliance engine. Yeah, you need to know it's dual side reporting. You have to report it within 15 minutes, and then it's immediately released to the public. That's definitely there. Yeah, what do you think, Brian?
Yeah, that both sides. That's a classic 24.
Yeah, it's definitely there. I don't know about the others. I don't think they're as testable, but make sure you know Trace for sure. By the way, remember everybody on the call, she's taking a 24. So
yeah,
I don't think you're going to see a Trace question on 7. What do you think? No?
Not on 7. No, she's taking.
Oh, 24. One more thing. I would know it's for debt securities. I forgot that. I would add that it's for debt.
Right.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Series 7 in 3 weeks. I've gone the 663 route. I can't tell you how many people do that. I feel like starting every 6 class by saying, why don't you just get a 7? Working through all the study materials and guru lectures. How much of the study guides do you find obsolete compared to what is testable? I don't think I would say obsolete on content outline. If you're taking Series 7, the FINRA content outline, I think, is pretty up to date.
Yeah, that's what he's referring to as study guides from FINRA.
Yeah, I call it the content outline. That's very up to date. Neil, I have a playlist where I actually go through the content outline and explicate it, each thing, and tell you what the test issues are. And every once in a while, I think I started the channel. I'm coming up on my 3rd year anniversary of the channel. And I get this all the time, Brian. This video is 3 years old. I go,
I get it too. Yeah, I get it too.
And I go, well, I'm not sure I understand the question or comment or that is the same content that you're going to get tested on. That hasn't changed. A call is a call, a put is a put. And so, so whether it's my videos or Brian's videos or the study guide, if it's obsolete, I would hit the delete key and make a new video in my case. So if you're talking about the FINRA content outline, I think that's still a very valuable guide for you in your journey in terms of doing an intellectual checklist against it to make sure each of those items on that content outline, all of them, by the way, NASA has test specifications. SIE has it. They have it for the SIE. Brian and I are using as our guide on our 66 collaboration, the test specifications. And we're literally going through that. And I told you your point. Brian isn't deleting banners because they're obsolete. He's deleting banners from the test specifications because, again, he doesn't think it's high probability. He doesn't think it's something we should cloud your mind with. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, he's very, again, disciplined about not clouding somebody's mind with unnecessary information. Hey, Dean, not necessarily test question, but curious. Does volume affect the price of an ETF? Whenever they give you a volume question about anything, it's about liquidity and spreads. So the higher volume a security has, and you brought up the SPY, wow, lots of liquidity, right? So it depends, volume up. Now that's technical analysis. It's not necessarily volume. It's how much of the volume is demand versus supply, right? Technical analysis says more demand for the stock or ETF than supply, the stock goes up. Or you have to more supply than demand, the stock goes down, regardless of whether it's a stock or an ETF. So does it increase the price of the underlying holdings? No. If there was a difference between that, there would be an arbitrage opportunity. Arbitrage is profiting from price discrepancies. So typically the ETF would be trading at a premium to the underlying securities. If not, somebody would engage in arbitrage to bring it back within that. Your comments on volume affecting prices of ETF?
Well, I think he said it quite gracefully. It's not a test question.
Okay. Mark, testable point. By the way, let's get back on track here. If you're taking a Series 7, I just want to be clear with you what is testable. You most definitely have to be able to contrast a traditional open-end mutual fund with an ETF. How are they different? Well, remember, like an open-end fund is trading based on forward pricing, next calculation of an NAV. ETFs are not. ETFs for test purposes are passively managed, and therefore they're more tax efficient. You know, they trade supply and demand. And then you have to be able to contrast an ETF with an ETN. And how is an ETF different than an ETN? That's testable. And then open-end versus closed-end and how they're different. That whole section of the test, mutual funds, assuming you're taking a Series 7, packaged products is 20 plus questions. So make sure you got a handle on that stuff.
And let's not forget about the leveraged ETFs and the inverse ETFs.
Yeah, if you're taking out, I don't think that's low probability on 7. You think I leverage ETF question on 7?
No doubt.
Okay, so 2x. So have an idea of this 2x up or down. Brian has. You have that in your 7 as well. Your practice.
I do indeed.
Brian has one that is pretty good, and his trick or catch on the math is, if I remember right, it goes. He says it goes up. The market goes up 10. 2x means it goes up 20. And it goes down by the same amount. And he's got an answer where you think, oh, it's a wash. It went up 20, went down 20. It's the same. No. And if you do the math, you find out that that's not the case.
That's a classic leveraged ETF test question.
Yeah. I have people report it all the time on the 65 and 66. Testable point for CAPM. Well, I don't think there's any test questions on 7 about capital asset pricing model. But on 65, 66, that itself is not testable, but it's the underpinnings of what's called expected return. And so what I mean by the underpinnings is this is where we get the idea in modern portfolio theory about this idea of alpha and beta and, volatility and expected return. So I would think of the CAPM not as the test question itself, but rather what comes from that, which is this concept of beta. Yeah.
If I may interject one more.
Absolutely. Let me give you a board there.
The textbooks go bonkers on the math under CAPM, and the test is nowhere near the math.
Right.
Essentially, it's just like Dean said, you essentially have to be rational about the level of risk you are comfortable with based upon the type of reward you want to, or expected return. That's what the expected return is. And you have to be rational about the amount of risk you wish to take on as a client or customer. That's what the 65 does. It is not, I repeat, not anything to do with math.
I think, Brian and I, one of our pet peeves, assuming, Mark, you're taking a 65, 66. And as you can see, we can very easily go on a rant about this, is I feel bad because people who are math challenged see some of the math that test prep vendors give, and then they end up spending way too much time in terms of the payoff that is available from other things. Time is a resource. If we were telling Rachel, she still has the time, world enough in time, as Robert Penn Warren, a famous poet, said. We still have world enough in time to do what we need to do. And what I think about, and we were talking about Past Perfect as a test prep vendor, and they're a fine test prep vendor. I have no issues with them whatsoever. I do have this fear that some people will actually take the math, whether it's Kaplan or STC or Past Perfect, like CAPM, and they see this outrageous math, and then they think they got to know it, and they spend all kinds of hours. And I just think your time is better spent elsewhere. Brian's even more adamant than me that he doesn't even think it's worth any time, whereas I think, and what happens, whatever you're fearful of, you're going to swear that you had 100 of them. So if you're not comfortable with CAPM or beta and alpha, you told me it wasn't there and I had 100 of them. I go, well, I find that difficult to believe, but it is what it is.
I just spent time with the gentleman this morning on the Series 65. Math is not his favorite subject, like many folks that you and I deal with, Dean. He said he touched the calculator 3 times on the Series 65.
Yeah, I had
people 5, but
I had a guy taking his exam. He said, Dean, I'm not paying you $225 an hour to do math. I can do any math, any 2 numbers. I can solve for the third. And in his case, good news, he passed, but he was upset because he thought he was going to get a lot of points because he's great at math. Same thing.
Right.
He only got 2-3 points, and it wasn't math. It's mainly recognizing the formula. So, make sure, if you're not sure, make sure you do enough practice tests to get confirmation. My other pet peeve, Brian, is in all that when they give you one of those, well, you may not see this on the test. I'm like,
why even bother me with it?
Oh, well, thank you so much, Rachel. I think the growth of the channel, I told you, happy Thanksgiving. And I hope for everybody you're as blessed as I am. I started the channel December 20th. Coming up, it'll be 3-year anniversary. I had no idea, Rachel, that there were that many test takers out there. And the purpose of the channel was to make a direct connection with test takers like yourself, because I was an old-fashioned corporate campus guy.
Yep.
Whiteboard and show up and fly in and teach the class and fly out. When COVID hit, I was like, oh my goodness, I got to find a direct connection. And Rachel, I don't overthink it. I get accused, because the channel is so successful and large, that people, oh, Dean's a tech guy and he's doing search engine optimization. And Rachel, I'm really not. What has made the channel successful is pretty easy. Even when I was a managing director of a predecessor company called to Kaplan called Dearborn, I always told people the key thing is, are we contributing to testing victories? In Latin, that's called the sine qua non, the essential thing. And if we can help, Brian and I can help you pass your test, Rachel, and you feel that, and then you'll tell your coworkers and refer them to the channel. And I think that's where the exponential growth of the channel has come from. Is not, I don't do hashtags, Rachel. I'm not an asshole. What I mean by asshole, I don't ask you to hit the like button or smash the like button, hit your bell. I figure if you want to join us, we're here. Me telling you to subscribe or smash the like button isn't going to make a difference. Maybe it does. Maybe I would have 6 million subscribers if I did. The other, Rachel, thing I've done is I try to keep the channel completely free. I've been pretty blessed. So I made enough money in the securities industry, and I'm making money now. So, I don't have channel memberships. I don't sell coffee cups and T-shirts. And I had somebody the other day, Brian, say, "Oh, I'll make your Series 7 Guru T-shirts and coffee cups, and you can sell them on your channel." I'm like, that doesn't really speak to me.
That's right.
If I want to attempt Blue Migo, I like that, Blue Migo. If I want to attempt the financial advisor route, I take the 7, 63, 65, or can I take it 66? You should take the 766. 766. Now, if you're just going to be an independent financial advisor, then you just need the 65. If you're just going to be a fee-based, advisors can't be advisors without a firm. So if you're going to be a fee-based investment advisor rep, you only need a 65. But if you're going to be an agent of both a broker-dealer and its affiliated investment advisory firm, then you need either 763, 65 or 766. Most people go 766. However, a lot of people get to 763, circle back, get to 65. What happened? I'm dating myself, Blue Migo, but when they came out of the 65, that was before the 66. There was no 66. That's how long I go back. I'm sure Brian goes back.
I remember.
And the people would take the 63 and 65 would get mad. They'd go, well, the same damn tests, because the Uniform Securities Act is the Uniform Securities Act. So they said, okay, fine. We'll come up with a 66. Right? Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Just took my Series 65 and sadly missed the mark. Looking for some restudy plan. So I'm going to at 3509. I'm going to link to my video. You failed. Is it over? Spoiler alert, it's not. And I have 5 recommendations about what to do in terms of kicking or renewing your study plan. So Michael, put that on the play 3509, and that'll be up shortly after we're done, and you can check that out. Happy Thanksgiving. You both helped me so much. All right, done. Victorious test taker in the house. Eric has completed. Thanks for joining us on LinkedIn. I always like people joining us from Facebook and LinkedIn. I say, Eric, you've completed the test taking registration hat trick. The hat trick is 3 successes in a row. I think in hockey, what is it, Brian? You're a hockey guy.
That's the hat trick.
So that would be an assist, a score. What do you got to do to get a hat trick? You got to do a score, an assist, or
3 scores.
Three goals.
But
you can assist on the goal, right? You don't have to get them all yourself.
Yes, you have to get them all yourself.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, I thought if I give it to you and you make the goal, I get a point for that.
You do. That's not part of the hat trick.
All right. Well, good to know.
Or the trifecta is what I like to call it.
Oh yeah, trifecta. Yeah, trifecta. I think of the trifecta when you're buying an option, Eric. You got to be right about 3 things: direction, how far, and timing. And I joke in a horse race, when you make a trifecta bet, you're calling the horses in the right order, and that's very difficult. That's why you get it right, you make a lot of money. But I also had a pub, and if you drank 100 different beers, you would get a mug. And so, my friend Gary and I, this is going to sound silly, but we did it like 4 times. And my third mug, I call, they hang it, and you can get a happy hour 20-ounce beers. But anyways, I called my third mug trifecta, and my 4th mug quadrophenia. Okay. And, anyways, I had a lady come in, a young lady, and we were drinking on our big mugs. And she goes, I bet you're very proud of that. And I thought, well, there's 2 ways to play this. I said, I am. I said, I've never set a goal and met it. This is the first goal I've set and met. I set the goal of drinking 100 different beers. I have done that. And I'm thinking from this, I might be able to do other things in life. I just played it up like, yes, I'm a loser. I'm not really. So she couldn't really decide what to make of me. Best way to prepare for 65 with a law and business background. Well, I got to tell you, don't get stressed because it's going to be embarrassing if you have a law and a business background and you miss the mark. So I would pretend you do not have. I call this respect the 65. So, pretend you're a tabula rasa, a blank slate, and start over. And Brian and I think that the law is not usually the problem. It's the investment vehicles. So if you are have some background in the law component, about a half, 45%, make sure you overlearn those investment vehicles, because that's where a lot of people run into trouble. Past perfect, got too much not test. I'm with you. You're welcome, Yvette. My firm reimburses for extras. Fantastic. So don't use the Guru 20 discount code. Just give Brian his full margin.
Oh, stop.
Pass the 24. All right. General Securities Principal in the house. Nick, I'm not sure if it was you last week who gave me a QID, and I brought it up and it wouldn't come up. So I don't know if it was a Kaplan mid-chapter check. I usually, if I can't bring up a QID from Kaplan backstage, it's usually because it's not in the Q bank. It's been segregated as a mid-chapter exam or final. I'm thinking about asking Kaplan, Brian, if they'll just undo that so I can get access to any kind of a question. So if that was you, Nick, I apologize. Good news. It looks like you made your mark, but I tried to hunt that QID up and I couldn't find it.
The buy-in and sell-out video, there's got to be anywhere from 2 to 4 questions on that series.
Listen, I got to tell you, Nick, this is what Brian has 2 videos that are life-changing according to some test takers. I mean, you've already passed your 24, but if you've not passed your 24, I will link to 2 of Brian's videos of your 24 on his buy-in sellout video. And literally, I don't even tutor that anymore. I just say, go watch this video. So, and then the other, Nick, is Brian has a great one. For those of you taking 65, 66, Brian has a great video on discounted cash flow, and I'll link to that too. at 39.23 in the replay. Series 24 candidate here. Thank Blake. These live streams, weekly Q&A, are for all FINRA exams. That includes 4, 9, 10, 24s, SIE 63, 65, 66. Hike, Omaha. But thanks for joining us. Less than 2 weeks of the big day. CAPM around 77, looking good. Well, there you go. Closeout. Blake, you just heard. We're going to link to Brian's closeout video. Dates and times. I personally think the 24, Blake, is kind of like a barbell. There's a certain amount of minutia, and then there's a certain amount of judgment questions, and not a whole lot in between. But usually people are struggling 24. I don't find it to be the dates and the times as much as the judgment questions. What do you think, Brian?
I get a lot of mixed reviews about that. I have some people who say they see a ton of dates and times, and that's why I have a list of the most vital ones in my class notes on the 24. But then you get some people who say, nah, I didn't get that many. I get a lot of mixed feeling.
The other thing, Blake, is it's really weird on 24. I think Kaplan obviously is the best, and I'm sure Past Perfect thinks they're the best, and STC thinks they're the best. But I can't tell you how many 24 candidates, well, a lot of them pass, but when they don't, how quick they are to blame their test prep vendor, whether it's Kaplan or STC or Past Perfect. Blake, I find that the 24, surprisingly enough, are bigger whiners than baby brokers about not making their mark. And maybe it's because they're not used to, having a setback. Rob W. says he can recommend Brian's videos. I bought them a few weeks ago and I learned a lot. Just bought Kaplan doing the question this week. Inching along, Rob. That's my saying. Inch by inch. Your exams are a cinch. Yard by yard. Your exams are hard. Wrong wording with obsolete apologies. I meant probability. Oh, there you go. What I liked about Brian 63 was getting us he doesn't get in the weeds. That's right. No. Brian doesn't let anybody get in the weeds. No.
Tunnel vision, man. I see it pass at the end of the road.
Well, that's right. That's right. Leverage ETF increases and decreases over extended periods of time is super interesting. What kind of makes the wheels spin at first, though? Yeah, I mean, people aren't, I don't call them math tricks, but, if you're not a math person, it's very easy to think up 20, down 20 is a wash, and it's not. By the way, it is important because if you choose to be unethical, you could misrepresent the return by saying, hey, Brian, it doesn't really matter. We were up 20, now we're down 20, so, hey, we're just where we started. And we're not, right? So, no, I joke, whether you're malicious or ignorant, it doesn't matter in terms of, misrepresenting things to customers.
As a matter of fact, on Series 7, there is known suitability questions pertaining to the leveraged ETFs. The investor should be a little bit more sophisticated when you're talking about leverage.
Yeah, I wouldn't even allow my brokers to sell them. Brian and I were having this discussion earlier. These exotic products like leveraged ETFs aren't tried and true like some of our plain vanilla. And Brian and I were talking about these are structured investments, and what that means, they're created, and they're it's not like owning a plain vanilla ETF, and they're usually created as trading vehicles. And so if we have things that are short-term trading vehicles, it would be important for that customer who's trading to understand that product, and more importantly for us as test takers, that we understand the product. Right? It's called product knowledge, right? 66 and thanks. There you go. Hello, so Q. Hello. I like it. Next Thursday. All right. There's Marcel. Marcel's in the house. We just had somebody else from Louisiana.
There he is.
All right. I'll tell Mom hello. She always asks, is Marcel on the thing? I owe you an hour, Marcel, when you're ready to collect. Don't collect this week because I'll be doing Thanksgiving. Looks like we're all caught up. Does anybody have any more content questions for Brian and I? Before we do the giveaway, if so, now is the time to put that into the chat. If you have a question, call for.
We know the key term this week.
I already got it. Too late, my friend. It's Happy Thanksgiving with an exclamation point. What was yours going to be?
Turkey.
Oh, that's probably better. But, oh, well, too late now. All right, so let me go get the drawing. Now, remember, if you win the drawing, let me get rid of that. So if you want to participate in the drawing, you put Happy Thanksgiving with an exclamation point into the chat. And if you win, you claim your victory, your drawing, by sending me an email at Dean, the Series 7 Guru. And let me share the screen here. What happened to our... just give me a sec here. I got to find the thing. Cancel. Where'd my drawing thing go? There it is. And I don't need that. But I do need this. I'm sorry, guys. Just take me a little sec to get this thing organized. All right, so let's put that back up again. Let's try it one more time.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to get the full picture, though. There we go. All right, so we got 7 entries so far. Anybody else want to participate? If so, now is the time to do so. And remember, what you get is a 30-minute coaching call. I hope, Rachel, you get it. I thought you might get it last time, and I think you were. I saw your name go by, and then I think who ended up getting it? We spent an hour. I think it was Nicole, I think. All right, if that's it, we'll do the draw. Let's hit it. Boom.
Drum roll, please.
Oh, I saw you go by again, Rachel. Yay! Oh, man.
That was a tease.
Oh man, that hurt, Rachel. That hurt. I did you see it was me? I saw that Rachel was right there, and then man, Blue Migo bumped her out of there. Oh man. All right, so Blue Migo, send me an email, and I will confirm and send you the Zoom invite for your coaching call. It's not a flexible call because I got to paid people come ahead of free stuff. So then I'll send you the Zoom invite. And you can share it with someone else. You can give it to someone else. It can be for anything you want. We can do practice questions. If you have a Dean to-do list, we'll take care of that as well. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Anybody got anything else? Last call. 6 o'clock, there is a premiere that will show up on the channel for the SIE podcast series on prohibited activities. And I will be checking that out in terms of the chat. So if you want to continue to chat, I'll be over there, and you can ask me any other thing you want to ask me about. It doesn't have to be about the SIE exam because the chat is not connected to the video. It could be, but it's, you can ask SIE stuff or whatever. Anything else from you, Brian?
No, I'm ready to eat some turkey.
Okay. So as I always say, remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. And as Brian says,
a lot of people overanalyze these questions to death. So remember, keep it simple. Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
Awesome. All right, everybody. We will see you next Tuesday.